Hello, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in this simple tutorial I'm going to be showing you how you can create a simple quick autocomplete app with PHP and jQuery Mobile. So what PHP is going to be doing is going to be fetching data from the database, while jQuery Mobile is going to provide us with that simple list view autocomplete feature. You're going to see how we are going to be using it. I already have some tutorials about jQuery Mobile on this channel, so if you are interested after this tutorial, then you are free to check them out. So this is the example that I'm talking about. When the user comes to the search engine and they type in H, they are going to bring any possible query that has letter H in it. As you can see, what HTML. So when we put T, it will filter to that specific query. The same applies to CSS. Maybe if you are looking for CSS, when they put in what, they are going to bring every query that has that phrase what is, let's say CSS, and they'll bring CSS, J, stuff like that. When we put in like DA, they are going to bring any query that has DA. You can see DA, DA. When we put T, they will still be the same because there is DAT. When we put E, we shall stay with the date picker. Put A, we shall stay with this backup stuff. So there is nothing, no action that is taking place. We are just filtering the data from the database. Very, very simple. So when I refresh this page, we are going to lose everything. So I want us to start from scratch. What you need to be having is your text editor. Let me first remove this because we want to start from scratch. You need to be having the text editor. Then the next thing, you need to be connected to the internet to get the query if you don't have it on your PC. So what you have to do is go to jquerymobile.com. At first you'll be presented to this page. Let me start from the beginning. You'll be presented to such a page. Then click download. When you reach download, feel free to download these files if you're going to be working offline. This one you're seeing here, it's a zip file. Make sure you extract it. You'll find there JavaScript, CSS, and some images that will be used in the framework. Then if you are free and you have internet, then you can use these content delivery network links, the three links. We have the one for CSS, for jQuery, and jQuery Mobile. So make sure you place them in your project. And I like placing the JavaScript files at the bottom right before the closing body tag. So that's where they are going to be. Then let us also set up a simple page in jQuery. We write the div and we are going to give it the attribute of data dash role. So we are telling the browser the role of this div is a page. So this is where all our content is going to be. So this is the first page. This is how you write a page in jQuery. Then we are going to write another div, the child div, that's going to have a data role of header. So this one is going to be the header, and I can put some simple h5 there, header. Then the next part is going to be the main area where we're going to be placing the search engine, and it has only the attribute of role, that main, and some class of user interface UI dash content. So this is where our content is going to be. It's the main part. And lastly, left some big gap there, and lastly we are going to have another div with a data role, sorry, don't fall, data role of footer. So this one's going to be our footer. Let me put also some h5 there, and I say footer. When I refresh this page, we are going to be having some header there and footer. So this is a simple page in jQuery Mobile, the header, the main area, and the footer. So let us push this footer at the bottom, and you can easily do that by adding a simple class here. called UI dash footer dash fixed, and with only that class our footer will be pushed down. So right now we are just doing some simple designing. Then let me also put some h5 here, and I say autocomplete app with PHP and jQuery Mobile. Let me see that. You can put it in some h3 tag. I guess that's it. Now let us create the input field where we are going to be searching from. So let us create a simple form tag here, and we are just going to put in the input tag there. Sorry, this is the form tag, sorry, and the input tag is here, and we're just going to give it an ID of titles, and let us give it another data attribute of data dash type. So we are telling its type, and it's going to be a search field, sorry, and let us put also our placeholder. Let's say search for example, sorry, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So this is just a placeholder. Let us refresh the page and see what we are having. So this is what we are having, a simple input field with this placeholder. I know it looks weird, but yeah, bear with it. Then the next thing what we are going to do is create an ordered list here. And for now we are just going to add the data attribute, data role attribute of list view, and let me show you how it looks like. At first let us put some a tag there, and let's just put home. I wonder why I put there home. Let us put CSS and PHP at first, and this is how it's going to be looking like. But we need to align it with the input field, how you're seeing it here. So with that we just put another data attribute of data that dash insert, and we set it to true so that it aligns with the input field, and that's how it looks like. Then let us also make it to be filterable. When we put in CSS, we need CSS to be shown only, and to do that we just add another simple attribute of data dash filter. You forgive me for the noise in the background, and we say data dash filter equals true. I know we have made some error. There are going to be two filters here, and the error that we have made, remember we gave this input field an ID. Then we need also to tell this URL that the data we want you to filter has to be coming from this input field, and we can easily do that by putting data dash input, and we pass in the ID, which is title. So we say hash title. So when we refresh this page, this other filter field will be taken off. That's good. When we put CSS, they are going to bring only CSS. When we put PHP, they are going to bring only PHP. So that's it for the UI. That's it for the UI. Now let us work with the database. And I had already set up some database here. And I'm going to say PHP my admin. Can close this page. So we want to start working with the database. So whatever detail that is going to be displayed here has to be coming from the database, because here we have just hand coded everything. So I have a database here called Autocomplete. I'm just going to click it, and there is a table called titles, and this is what we are having. What is HTML, what is materialized CSS, what is CSS, how to create a website. So these are the queries that we are going to be fetching from the database. So the first thing we are going to do is create our connection to the database. And here I created some folder called config and the file called db_account.php. So we need to create a connection to this interface. You're going to create some variable called server name. Let me put _name, and we are first going to set it to nothing. Then we also create server user. So this one is going to be the username to the server. Then also we create the server password, the server pass, and we are first going to set it to nothing. Then also we are going to write the DB name, so database name. So first of all, we are working on a local host. You can see here. So this is the server name. You can easily go and put here localhost. Then the username. When I click here, the home page, you can see that the user is root, where you see my cursor. So we put here root. Then for the password, if you have a password on this interface, the one you're seeing here, make sure you put that password in this field. So but right now for me I don't have. Then for the database name, mine is called Autocomplete. So I can easily come here and write Autocomplete. So that's the name of my database. Then let us create a connection to it. I'm going to create a variable called con, short for connection, and I'm going to do MySQL I_connect, and we're just going to pass in these parameters that we put here. So this is for the server, comma, then the username, comma, then for the password, if at all you had some here, so this one's going to be dynamic, it's getting all the values from here. And lastly, we need to connect to the database name, then end it with a semicolon, and let us do some little bit of verification here, authentication. So if it's not connected, so this exclamation mark is when there is no connection. If it's not connected, then you can just echo out failed to connect to server. So these are my custom errors, and you exit immediately. You don't let the user to continue. If not, if you don't want to echo out the message, you can just redirect them somewhere else. You can just put in location and go to some server error. If in case you have this page, server error.php, and they will be taken to that page, which is server error.php. But for now, then we'll just echo out fail to connect to server in case these things fail to connect. And that's it for the database connection. Remember, we are using the localhost server name. The username is root. I have no password. Then the database name is autocomplete. And what we are doing here is MySQL connect. We are connecting to that interface. And when you have connected, then we need to check if there is an error. And that's it for the database stuff. Then let us include that on our page. We go to the bottom of the page, at the top, sorry, not bottom, and we open the PHP tags. And the first thing we are going to do is include our database connection on this page. We can use include, and we want to enter this folder called config / there is a file called db_con.php. So right now we have included the database connection on this page, the one you're seeing here. Let's refresh this page. If we see no error, that means everything is okay. Then let us write a query that's going to be fetching data from this table of titles, these ones. Then we are just going to write SQL, so this is short for a query. We are going to write select all from titles. So this is the name of the table. You can see when this is the simple query that they return when you click on the table. So select all from titles. Then we are going to execute that query. Let me put some comments here. Execute. Execute query. We are going to create a variable called results, and we are going to say MySQL underscore query. So this line we are executing the query, and we are going to use this con variable, that the one we set here, because we have included this file on this page, so we are free to use this variable wherever we are. And we're going to pass in the query that we want to execute. So the one, put a comma and write the query there. Then let us also create another variable called titles, and we are going to check if there is some data returned. So using MySQL underscore num rows, and we pass in this variable, the one that's going to be having the data. And with that, we can go to the, sorry, put a semicolon there. Let us scroll down. So we want this URL to be dynamic. You can remove that. Sorry. And let us open up some other PHP tags here. And we are going to check if they have got some data from the database. So we are going to check for these titles. And here we are going to say if titles, so the variable that we created there up, is greater than 0, so that means there is some data. What we are going to do, we are just going to loop through the data that's going to be returned. We are going to say while row, this is another data that you have created, you can name it anything you want, is equal to MySQL underscore fetch underscore array. So it's going to be returned back as an array, and we are going to pass in these results here. then this is what we are going to do. We are going to carry this. We want to remain with this HTML on the page, but it's going to be dynamic, so we are going to come after that tag and create other PHP tags, and we are going to carry these two brackets to this last tag that we have created. So what we want to do here, we want to maintain our HTML, but it's going to be dynamic. We are going to leave it inside this loop so that they loop out every question that is going to be coming from the database. So that's why we are closing this first. This last bracket is closing with this if statement, and this one is the one closing with this while loop. So we can come here in the middle and we put another PHP tag, and we say echo, and we want this variable that we created of row, and we want passing this name, the column name, which is title. Can say title and put a semicolon there. Refresh, and they are getting all these titles from the database. Hope I have not confused you here. I wanted to maintain the HTML, the list, the li tags. So what I did, I closed this first PHP tag here on the while loop, and then opened another PHP tag down here, and I made sure I closed this if statement and the while loop here. So we are maintaining the HTML in the middle. You can see they have given us back the questions. We can now search for CSS, and they bring CSS, HTML. But now see what is happening when refresh this page. The user will come on the page and will be seeing the questions, and we don't want this to be appearing. What we are going to do now, with the power of jQuery, there is another data attribute called data dash filter dash reveal, and we set it to true. When you refresh the page, all these details will not be shown on the page, so the user will first have to search in order to see them. Remember, I told you this is PHP. PHP is just outputting the data, and jQuery is just making everything simpler by giving us that feature of filtering the data that is got from the database. Very simple. But in the next tutorial that I'll be making, I'll be showing you how you can create our own simple autocomplete app without any help of a framework like jQuery Mobile. So we shall just use vanilla JavaScript and PHP. So guys, if this tutorial was useful to you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next tutorials.